I've suffered from anxiety and depression for most of my adult life. And I think for a while it even like went like untreated for years, and it's hard. Right. And so I think I kind of had a shift in my 30s where I was like, I'm fully in control and can react to like everything that's in front of me. And so like, if I'm complaining about, you know, my salary or this, that, the other thing, like that's the cards I've been dealt, and choices led me here, and that's fine. Right. So like, what am I going to do to like fix it? And that's just the reality. And sometimes you got to like look yourself in the mirror and like give a little bit of tough love.
When my heart stops, not a second sooner, I'm gonna finish what I've begun. 'Cause my heart's got a reason to believe in me in a dream, and whatever may come. And as long as I'm breathing, I'll keep believing that I'm not done until my heart stops.
I've been using fusionary formulas lately, and it's been such a helpful addition to my wellness routine. Their turmeric-based formulas are designed to support inflammation, joint health, and overall vitality. Perfect if you're trying to feel better in your body naturally. I love how clean and powerful their ingredients are. You can use my code QUIETTHECLOCK to get 15% off your first order at fusionaryformulas.com. That's Quiet the Clock at checkout. Definitely worth trying if you're looking to feel your best from the inside out. I am so excited to have our next guest here, Lisa. We've connected through Instagram. I've been following your account. You're putting so much amazing content out there for women in their 30s, being very vulnerable and sharing your own journey. So I wanted to have you here because, again, I love what you're putting out. So welcome to Quiet the Clock, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and for, you know, supporting all my stuff. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Yeah. Well, I want to start with the name of your Instagram account, which is Thriving in Your 30s, and just kind of what prompted you to start the account, to name it that. I'd love to start there and have you share that.
Yeah, so it's a great question. It's kind of like a little bit of like a funny story. Back in, I think it was like 2023, I had about like 7 or 8 weddings. And I have been single for a really long time. So I've navigated like wedding culture and weddings as like the single friend and things like that, and kind of, you know, everything that comes with it. And I kind of just like felt that year that I was like in survival mode. I got a second job to like help pay for all of these
oh my God, yes,
excursions. Yeah, excursions and like things that I wanted to participate in and like wanted to support and be part of and stuff like that. But it's just hard on like a solo salary. And so I remember having a funny conversation with someone and saying like, oh, well, like, you know, I'm just surviving, not thriving, you know, kind of like riddled off of that. And then I started a podcast, which is like kind of right now in a hiatus, but that's called Surthriving. It's like the whole center of it is like, are you surviving or thriving? And the whole, you know, foundational conversation around it is that like both can exist at the same time. Like, you know, you can be, you know, in a certain area of life and be happy about that, but also sad and like enjoy it, but also not enjoy parts of it. And so the Instagram page Thrive in Your 30s kind of came from that. Like we can thrive in our 30s no matter where we are. If you're a new mom, if, you know, you're going through infertility or you're single or, you know, you're getting a new job, like you can thrive with, you know, where you're at.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. And I think the decade, our 30s is a decade that is so unique in that it throws so many things at us at once. And to your point, it could be navigating, finding partnership. It could be infertility. Like it feels like, and tell me if you kind of feel similarly, it feels like this decade, and I know you're newly in it, 31, correct?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be 32 on Wednesday.
Oh my gosh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Gosh, happy birthday. Yeah, like friends are going in lots of different directions. And I'm curious for you, what your experience has been already in your 30s, sort of navigating those differences. And you've shared you went to all of these weddings. Besides it being financially taxing, what were some of the narratives around maybe going to the weddings as a single person and watching sort of your path and your friends' paths kind of start to go in different directions?
Yeah, I think like the biggest part is that you start to see the conversations change. And so you're at dinner or you're at happy hour, and now the conversations around like florists and photographers and things like that. And I just like couldn't add to those conversations because I literally don't know. And like, that's okay, right? But there's only so much that I can add to the conversation that I know about because I'm also not living it. And so it's like very hard. And so that's like always a tip that I'm sure we'll get to is like, always find friends that are in the same life phase as you. Like that's like a saving grace for me. But yeah, I just feel that, navigating like going to weddings alone or like paying for a hotel alone, like you start to really like kind of see in certain ways or like carpooling or traveling, like people are coupled up or like, you're getting a hotel room alone because so-and-so is married and like just like logistical things or like stuff like that. And so, yeah, I definitely have felt that the conversations have started to like splinter a little bit, naturally. And that's okay. But I'm also going to not sit here and say that it's not hard sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I remember having, sitting at dinner tables with my very best friends, one and also my identical twin sister. And at that time I was single and like bartending in the city, and they were all married with children. And so the conversations would be either partnership related or motherhood related. And I remember distinctly sitting at those tables feeling like I have nothing to offer here. I can't relate to them and they can't relate to me as a single person going out in the city. And I'm curious for you, how you've navigated some friendships like that, where there's all of a sudden there's this lack of connection in certain topics or lack of relatability in sort of life phases.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like lack of relatability. I feel like that's the best way to like explain it. Like it's not personal. It just is, right? It's it's the exact term growing pains, right? Everyone's growing in different ways. And that can feel painful, right? And so you can be excited for someone, but it also like can be weird. And so I really just think like having honest like conversations, and I've really learned to be transparent, like who is willing and not willing to prioritize me as a friend, given the fact that I'm in a different life phase. And I've grown apart from people like that. And I've lost friends because of things like that. And it's hard. And that's just, again, growing pains. That's just the reality of it. Some people just like aren't able to prioritize maybe adding a different piece of their lifestyle into where they're at right now. And I've also learned that like not every friend is going to fill every bucket. Like, not every friend is going to be your going out friend. Not every friend is going to be your hiking friend. And that was something that I really learned in my 20s was like, okay, like this person's just not going to do this. It's not their thing. And like, also like, I'm not going to do that either or whatever it is. So really just like kind of learning. I think like the biggest thing is just like observing like who people are, like it's not like sneaky or anything, like just observing, right? Like how things are changing and kind of how you see like fit into that and who people are and what they're willing to kind of bend on.
Yeah. And I love your point of sort of communication and transparency. I think that's a strong foundation for any friendship. And if that's not there, that might say a lot about the friendship. If once the relatability goes away, the friendship does as well. I think it says something about the friendship. And again, if it can withstand lack of relatability or different life stages and the ability to communicate transparently, I think that's a great, long lasting friendship.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. Tell me about where you thought you might have been in your 30s. Did you have some narratives around what 30, 31, almost approaching 32 would be?
Yeah, Beth, you got me with that question. To be honest with you, I was actually thinking about it like leading up to like this interview that I didn't realize until I was in it how young I am. How young being 31, almost 32 is. I am so young.
I love that you say that.
Yeah. And like, I just feel that in a way I'm like 27, and I think like COVID kind of like adds to that a little bit. That's a whole other can of worms. But at this age, honestly, I literally thought I would be married with like a kid, and a mortgage and, a great 401k and with more money in it and, doing the suburbia life in New Jersey. I'm now living in Austin, Texas. And so it's like, whoa, that's a whole spin. Like,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I would be following like the generic path, married with kids, you know, teaching my kid how to ride a bike and dropping them off at daycare and working my corporate job and like going to the pumpkin farm. Like really, truly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the blueprint. That's the blueprint we're sold. This also aligns with the timeline by which you should, you know, I put in quotes, accomplish that. And so we do kind of move through life thinking that that's the timeline, that's the blueprint. And for so many of us, it's not. And I love so much to hear that you say you feel so young. I love that. And I honor that so much. And I hope everybody listens, takes that in, because you know, for a lot of us, 30 can feel like behind, or 31 can feel behind if we don't have these things yet. So tell me how you came to kind of adopt this idea that like, I'm so young, because for a lot of us being at these stages, we don't necessarily feel that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I definitely have my moments where I'm kind of like hit with whiplash and I'm like, whoa, like I'm so old. I feel behind. I'm not doing this, yada, yada, yada. In my 20s, I suffered a lot from what I call horizon syndrome. I have like self-proclaimed that name. Okay. It's like always like seeing, always looking like what's on the horizon, right? It's like the master's degree, it's moving out, it's the first apartment, it's getting a boyfriend, and then you're engaged, and then you get married, like always, and then like not enjoying where I was at. And I really suffered from a lot of anxiety like with that, because I just didn't think that I was going to figure it out. I didn't even know what it was. Truly, I had no idea.
Isn't that interesting?
I just like, yeah, like I didn't think that it was going to work out, but like, I don't even know what I was like trying to like work out. I think it was just like stability or comfort or confidence or whatever it may be. And, you know, those things, you know, I still have issues with now. That's being human, right? But like, I think that I just really struggled with like kind of, what was to come. And when I entered my 30s, I don't want to say it was like a light switch, because, you know, it was like a slow dimming light. But I kind of like really found confidence in the chaos, and that like whatever was going to be thrown at me, like I figured it out up until now. Like, who's not to say that I can't figure out moving across the country? I did it. Right.
I know. I definitely want to jump in and talk to that. What helped you arrive at that confidence in the chaos? I love how you put that. I think life is chaotic, but there's also a lot of amazing things that happen in the chaos. And can we get curious about the chaos, and how, to your point, how can we be confident and enjoy it? Was there any therapy involved? Like, how did you kind of transition from being this maybe highly anxious 20-something-year-old, always looking to what was ahead or what's on the horizon, to maybe more grounded 30-something-year-old that's like, okay, you know, I don't know what it's going to be. There's a lot of uncertainty here, but I know I can figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in therapy for 10 plus years. I swear by it. And obviously I know you do too. And it's really helped me kind of just like talk it out, honestly, like just like talk therapy and kind of reiterating like the steps of my anxiety, like in my head, like if this happens, then this is going to happen. And then this is going to happen. And then this is going to happen. And then it explodes. And, you know, just understanding that, where that comes from, whether that's my childhood or experiences or the way I was raised or whatever it may be, right? Just life things. But I think I really got comfortable that like in my 20s, as I started to live more of life, right? You're just like, don't have experience yet.
Oh my God.
Like, no. Yeah. Like I kind of was like, okay, like I moved to Baltimore for my master's degree, and I kind of reflect on that, and I'm like, okay, well, like I figured it out. I was like worried about money, like while I was a student, right? I found nannying jobs and like would walk dogs and stuff like that. And then it's like, right. Then you fast forward to those weddings in 2023. Oh, I'm stressed about this. Okay. What have I done to figure this out before? I'm going to babysit. I got a part-time job at a fitness studio, and it worked out. And so it's just kind of like reflecting and knowing that you can like figure it out with like tools and experience that you already have. But yeah, a lot of therapy, girl.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan. I love that. I love hearing that. And looking back on those moments where you figured it out and you kind of put the pieces together, do you look back and feel really proud of yourself?
Yeah, I do. I also feel like nostalgia for her, because I think she just had like so much anxiety and worry. And I wish I could have just been like, we're good. We're good. Like we got the degree, like we're good, you know? Yeah. And so I think it's hard, but I mean, all you can do is just learn, right?
Well, and that's what I love what you're doing with your platform too, because similar to you, I kind of look back and I was stressed and I was anxious. And then you kind of fast forward and you're like, well, you did figure it out, or it did work itself out. And sort of my intention and goal with the podcast is to safeguard more women from those moments of like doubt, lack of trust in self, anxiety, because we are resilient. We are multitaskers. We can figure it out. And I love kind of you honoring that old version of yourself and wishing you could have said to her, like, we got this, like, we got this, like, you know, we can figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. And just like, resilience, just like knowing what's in front of you and the tools that you have, or the access to people or resources, and kind of using that to your advantage. Like, you got to get a little like gritty and like creative and things like that. And, you know, I didn't think that I would be like working 2 jobs at like 30, 31, almost 32 years old, but like, that's the cards I've been dealt, and that's the reality. And so there is kind of a little bit, you got to swallow that pill and like push forward. So
yeah, I think it's a matter of perception and how you frame things. I think you have a choice there in how you can look at that situation, and you could either choose to be hypercritical and like, why me, poor me, or you can look at that a very different way of like, I'm proud of my ability to kind of figure things out and do what I need to do. And, you know, realizing and recognizing that that can be a choice in how you perceive things, I think is important to talk about. Yeah. I want to go back to what you said about like figuring it out in your 20s. Like, and I love that you acknowledged and said and kind of called yourself out on like, I didn't even know what it is. Without knowing what it was, what was pushing you forward to look at those things? Was it kind of how you grew up? Is what you saw modeled? Or or maybe just like this universal blueprint that we're all sold?
Yeah, I think a combination of both. My mom immigrated here from Venezuela, and both my parents grew up really poor. I thankfully grew up, you know, very privileged, but they really hustled and they worked really hard. And I think just like growing up in that generation that they did, a lot of that was like kind of bled into their parenting as well. And so it just always like, we work hard, we accomplish things, we go to college, we graduate, and like we provide for our family and we work hard, and like this is the like American dream. And I applaud my parents so much for that, because it's instilled a lot of like hustle and grit and like stubbornness in my sister and I that sometimes I probably hate. But it's really like created like, you know, success. And so, yeah, to answer your question, I think it was just, I saw the culture of like, we work hard. Like something is in front of us and we work hard. And, you know, both my parents, like I said, grew up with not a lot, and they worked really, really, really hard to, you know, put my sister and I like where we are. And my dad always says like, you know, we launched you into life, and that was like our job, was to set you up for success and just like launch you into adulthood. I know, right?
Yeah, I love that.
And you know, and like that came with like challenges and like disagreements, like, and things like that. And no family is perfect. Right. But, that was the culture that I was raised in. It was, you know, we work hard and we do things and we hustle, and that's it. Like, there's no choice.
Yeah. No, I grew up very similarly in that, you know, it's like, it's destination driven. I think that mindset, it's outcome driven. We're working hard towards something. We're working hard for something. I grew up very similarly. Like, my dad's biggest thing was like, it's not about being happy. And it was that same, like, work hard, go to college, get the job, do the thing. And it really was. And now he's like older and like chiller. And he's like, as long as you're happy. I'm like, well, where was that messaging when I was younger? It really was, you know, a repeated narrative in my house. Like, it's not about being happy. This is what you do. And that's similar upbringing. And again, I think it creates this sort of, outcome driven mentality and framework. Yeah, totally. And that is just like, there's always something to like accomplish. And, you know, sometimes it can feel like that things are like never enough. And so, I don't know what I was chasing in my 20s. I think maybe it was just like stability, but once I got my anxiety under lock, I think I was a lot better. So now being in your 30s, kind of what is the mindset? It sounds like still work hard. Like that's very much ingrained in you, but you know, is the definition or your framework for stability in your 30s different than it was in your 20s? Yeah.
The definition I think of my 30s now is definitely like stability and balance and happiness. And I think those can kind of like take different characters of what they mean for certain people. Stability can mean like having a roof over your head, a certain type of roof, right? Like a house or renting or whatever it may be. Instability could be like a really high 401k like buyout or like something else, or I don't really know, or like a 2-income household. Like it can all look different for everyone. But yeah, I think for me, it's just really like enjoying like the zest for life. Like I've suffered from anxiety and depression for most of my adult life. And I think for a while it even like went like untreated for years and it's hard. Right. And so I think I kind of had a shift in my 30s where I was like, I'm fully in control and can react to like everything that's in front of me. And so like, if I'm complaining about, my salary or this, that, the other thing, like that's the cards I've been dealt and choices led me here and that's fine. Right. So like, what am I going to do to like fix it? And that's just the reality. And sometimes you got to like look yourself in the mirror and like give a little bit of tough love. But yeah, I think my 30s are just more like stability, enjoying life, and kind of, just chasing like life experience, but also like security to like set myself up, for each year that, I age.
Yeah.
Universe willing.
I love that. I want to talk to you about your move, which I think is very brave and courageous and kind of like, I want you to share all about your move, kind of what went into deciding to move to Texas, what was sort of both the emotional lead up and the logistical lead up to doing that. I've worked with so many women that feel stuck in their current situations, whether that's location or job or relationship, and getting unstuck is very difficult, kind of finding the way and navigating the way to make a change, whether it's small. I mean, you made a very big one, but I'm just curious to hear your experience and your process.
Yeah, absolutely. So this move actually dates back like all the way to this move dates back all the way to like 2019. My friend and I did a trip down here, just a girls' weekend. And then I had come down to do an internship interview. I didn't end up getting the internship, but between other trips and travels and stuff, I just was always like for years, like, I just love this city. Like there's just so much going on. It has the things that I enjoy, outdoor life, music scene, like good food scene, the weather and outdoorsiness, like, things like that. And just like different culture. And so it kind of was always in the back of my head. And it was like kind of an itch that I never scratched. And fast forward, I got my dream job, as a child life specialist at CHOP in Philly, one of the top 3 children's hospitals in the world. And so I was like set. And that, I think maybe that was a little bit of the it that I was chasing, was like a successful job. And like, I have this, great prestigious hospital on my resume. And like, that was it, right? Like I did it. And then I moved and, 6 weeks later, I was working on a pediatric COVID unit and we all know what happened.
Yeah.
And so I was there for about 2.5 years. And the last like year I was miserable. I was so depressed and just sad. And, everyone was like, there was so much change that happened. I didn't get to explore this city that I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And so it was a very like skewed experience, and it is what it is. And so then fast forward to, summer 2022, I left the hospital setting and got a remote job. And then kind of just like through conversations and a lot of tears was like, I think I just need to go home. And I'm originally born and raised in North Jersey. And I was like, I think I just like need to go home. Like, I think I just need to go home. And so I had a remote job and I had rescued a cat by this point. So, I had like a little life, right? And I had friends in Philly and I moved back to my parents' house. I don't know how old I was at that point. I think maybe like 28. And I was home for 3 months and then moved to Hoboken with a friend from college. And I told myself, I'm going to give myself 2 years just to like level set. I mean, like, I just got to reset life a little bit. I got to go to therapy. I got to like change medications. I need to just like, I remember like telling someone, I just want to drive on the highways that I know are familiar. Like that's how like unstable I was. Like, because I was just living in this like whirlwind, like it was just this like chaos. I had no stability because I was in this like new city, but it actually like I couldn't even experience it. Like, you know, and I gave myself 2 years, and then I pretty much just said like, F it. And I like found a short-term lease for October of 2024. And I quite literally drove across the country with my sister and my cat in October. And then I had that short-term lease for a couple months to, you know, collect some research or data, as my one friend said, on Austin, but I think everyone knew I was going to stay.
I think you knew you were going to stay too.
Yeah, I wanted an out. That was like my whole thing with getting a short-term furnished place, was like, if something happened and I really didn't like it and the city changed in a way that I didn't think I could stay, I had an out and I could just go home.
Yeah.
And I signed a lease in the apartment that I'm currently sitting in the new year.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Yeah. I love so much of what you just said there. The first thing I want to say is sort of being attuned and attentive to your inner voice, that voice that said to you, like, I want to go home. And you kind of knew that's what you needed. And I think there's so often we kind of fight that inner voice. And that's a lot of what I talk about on Quiet the Clock. That's a lot of the work I do in therapy with my clients, is like, we have to drown out all this external noise, like, and just get really quiet and hear our own voice. And it sounds to me like you were able to do that. And by doing that, you made the right move to go home. I imagine, like, and I've seen for a lot of women, you could judge that inner voice. You could say, I'm this age and I'm going to move home with my parents. I'm going to like give all this up. Like, it could feel like a regression, but I think it is so important to tune out and drown out all the noise and listen to our inner voice. So important. I also love that you shared kind of, and I think we're just thinking about how to give advice to other people that are stuck. It sounds like you set yourself up in a way that it wasn't like a full jump, that it was kind of like a calculated risk. Like, I'm going to do this short-term lease. And if it doesn't work out, I'm not committed to anything. Like, I can feel it out for a couple months. And I'm a huge believer in that. Like, I definitely think we shouldn't stay stuck. I also think sometimes it's either one, too scary to take a huge leap, or two, not smart. So I'm a big believer in kind of calculated risk.
Yeah. And like the whole calculated, like I did quite literally like calculate it all. And so you asked about the logistics. I opened a high yield savings account, which like makes money for you. And part of that part-time job, like I put money in that. And so I just created this like fund, and I would just, you know, and then of course you have the end, like the perk where you're like, you get your security deposit back. That's a nice chunk of change. And then like, you know, you're selling furniture, like random things like that. But you know, so I had to like, you know, open an account, and I was like, okay, let me just like work these hours and be smart. At that point, like I definitely was drinking way less and like not going out as much. And so that money kind of was going in that bucket as well. Like I always knew the end goal was going to be me sitting in this apartment, like literally. And so I just was like, what do I have to do to like get there? And of course, like, I'm lucky that I have so much like support and like emotional support from people around me that, you know, are able to like help out. My sister lives in Savannah, Georgia, and she met me in Nashville. She flew to Nashville. I drove from Hoboken to Nashville by myself. And then we drove from Nashville to Austin. And what's crazy, Beth, is that she did the same move from New Jersey to Savannah also at 31. So I don't know what's up with me and my sister, my poor parents.
31's the age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but also just like, I think that's part of like the page too, with me making content. One, it's fun. And two, it shows that it's possible, right? Like my sister showed me that it's possible. You can do this. It's not too late. You don't have to feel stuck. And then, you know, I'm getting DMs from people who are like saying something similar or things like that. And so I think just really using your resources, you know, like do what you got to do and like scrape from like the bottom. Like if you got to get a second job, like do it. Like, it's not embarrassing. It is what it is. And, you know, no one's going to understand.
Yeah. Do you feel like being really clear on the end goal helped you put the logistics in place? Like helped you stay decisive day to day? Like, okay, the end goal is I'm moving to Austin and I need X, Y, and Z. And so if there's an opportunity to go out and have 4 drinks, I'm maybe going to say no to that, or I'm going to only have 2 because I'm thinking about what I'm putting in this high yield savings to then get me to my goal.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like my thought process with a lot of things, saying yes or no to plans or picking up more shifts. I worked at a fitness studio at the front desk. And I mean, there was 1 month I worked like 20 days in a row, like a full-time corporate job. And that too. And like, it adds up 15 an hour. Like, sure, there's taxes on it, but it's change. It's green. The money is green. And so, yeah, it definitely, I think also, helped that certain lifestyle changes, not going out as much and things like that definitely kind of helped shift my like perspective and thought process on money. And that's still something even I'm learning now, right? Like as being new to a city, like what does that mean? But yeah, I definitely started to see things in dollar signs.
No, I think it's helpful. I think it's the clarity on the goal, whatever the goal is so helpful in our day-to-day decisions and thinking about things in the way, does this support the goal? Does this not support the goal? I think what's problematic is there's a lack of clarity on the goals because we're kind of working towards these like societal norms that we're told that we want. So I think that's the work. And for anyone listening, that's still the work is like get clarity on your goals. And then you know exactly what you're working towards and how to make day-to-day daily life decisions. I have worked with and talked to so many people that we work towards these goals of partnership or motherhood or whatever, or a certain type of career. And then they get there and all the decisions supporting, the progress to that goal. And then they get there and they're like, I'm not really happy. This is not really what I wanted. So I love your story because I feel like that you had that clarity on the goal and then all the decisions supporting that. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely like takes work and a lot of like inner confidence and kind of like you said, putting blinders on and like, what do you want? What do you as a 20 or 30 something, woman want? What do you want? Do you want to move to California? Do you want to move to Argentina? Do you want to move to London? Like, or do you just want a new job? Like what, like, do you want a remote job instead of an in-person job? Like, what do you want? And I think just like tuning out what everyone else thinks. It's hard though. I'll be honest with you. It's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you honor that, normalize that. It is very hard to tune that out. And however, if we don't, like your story is so validating of this is like, there are cues that will tell us, like, sometimes I'll ask clients, like, what do you want? And they don't know. And they really don't know. And I want to also honor that sometimes it's hard to figure that out, but there are cues that will tell us. And if you can't find cues of what you want, I think your story validates, like, you can find cues of what you don't want. Like that moment where you're saying to yourself, like, I need to move home. I need these things. And it's like being attentive to those cues. But yeah, clarity, getting aligned and clear on what you want is definitely takes work.
Yeah. And even just the process of like knowing oneself, right? And so like a huge part of Austin was how I spend my free time. I love concerts and the music scene and live music. And like they have that here and that, I've gone to like so much stuff, even in the 6 months that I've been here, like, and that's amazing and great. That's partially why I moved here because I love that. And so just like, who are you? Like, what do you like? And like, where can you find that? Right? Like, I want to go kayaking and then like dress up and go to a cute dinner like that night. That's how I want my bounce. And
I love that.
Where I was, I'm not going to kayak in the Hudson.
Yes.
Hoboken's great. I love Hoboken, but yeah, just figuring out, what you enjoy.
How has it been? How has your experience been so far? How has it been to navigate a new city and kind of like maybe, I don't want to say restart, but kind of embark on a new phase, new adventure?
Yeah, it's definitely fun, but I will say it's hard. It's hard. Like everything in this apartment was assembled by me. I didn't get a single TaskRabbit or anything like that. And so it's also just like exhausting. I've had a couple breakdowns and that's the reality of it. It's so much work. Like it is on you. But with that, again, that like reassures the confidence in the chaos. The fact that I had moved 2,000 miles away and set up an entire apartment for me and my cat by myself, I think I could like literally conquer anything because it's like it's just like so much work, like all the little things like changing your address and getting a new license and new plates and all of that you have to figure out by yourself. Yeah. And there's so many like rules here and, stuff like that. But, making friends, I've actually made some really good friends through my Instagram page as well. And I think that is really validating. Like my two really close friends here DM'd me and
oh my gosh, like, I love that.
Yeah. One moved from Virginia and one moved from LA and they were like, hey, randomly came upon you on the algorithm. So crazy. I just moved here too, et cetera, et cetera. yada, yada. And like, we're all great friends. And so it also kind of validates to anyone listening that like, there will be people wherever you're trying to go next who are like you and who are in the same space as you. And it is validating even for me, even though I knew I had confidence in this, I kind of was like, I have some friends here. They did the same thing. I'm not crazy. Like, okay, I'm actually not crazy.
No, but you know, that's the thing. And I had similar experience many years ago when I jumped off the, you know, path that we're supposed to be on, that there was a lot of judgment, maybe not so much self-judgment, because I was like, I'm miserable. I started out in finance, like corporate cubicle life. And I was like, this is not for me. And so that was like sort of my first step off the traditional, I guess you'd say, path. And I had friends really uncomfortable with that and questioning that. And I realized then it was like, and I was so clear on not wanting to do that, that was not fazing me. But it was clear to me it was projection, because I don't think they enjoyed being on that path either. But yeah, no, we are not crazy for going off the path. We are not crazy for doing things different. I think that's the whole point here, is to normalize the courage and just normalize like different paths. So I applaud you. I think that's great. And I'm so excited for everybody to hear your story and kind of how you made that happen. Because I do know so many people want to take these leaps and want to make changes and want to find places, experiences, people that are more aligned with them, what they value, what they actually enjoy. And there's just a lot of fear wrapped up in that. And so you're just, you know, by you sharing it's making it breaks it down in a way that's like digestible and makes it really seem possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, you know, getting a short-term lease that was furnished, so I didn't have to worry about that, like really helped. And, you know, driving instead of shipping my car so that I had a little bit more of control over the, you know, experience. And then I had a car here, you know, it's just like baby steps, all like little logistical things, you know, support person and my sister, having my cat was fun. And then that's a core memory for us too, that we still.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Beautiful. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about this new series you're doing on your page and what kind of inspired the series. And I've watched all of them, and I think they're great.
Thank you. Yeah. So I saw a bunch of series going around Instagram and TikTok, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I will preface, it's a lot of work.
I know. I looked, I was like, how does she do all this and put this all together? And it looks amazing.
Yeah, my screen time is at an all-time high. Thank you. But yeah, I started a series since I'm turning 32 this year, of like, you know, 32 ways that I'm creating, you know, thriving life, even when I feel like I'm surviving. And so just little things. And like my most recent one was about finally living on my own. This is my first solo apartment. And when you have a roommate, someone else is taking out the trash sometimes. Now it's just me. Someone else is putting away the dishes, things like that. Just like, and people are probably like, yeah, Lisa, like that's like so minuscule. But like when it's just you on one salary and like my cat can't lift a finger, like it can feel overwhelming, like trying to pick up everything like on your own. And so I just started the series about, you know, how I'm trying to like break down, you know, certain survival tasks or whatever it may be. And I did one on drinking less alcohol.
I love that one. Yeah,
that one was really important. For me, my sister's also sober. And so that's a very like personal story as well. And I think just like reducing and changing how you live a healthy, balanced life, and how that can help you thrive, right? Like not waking up hungover or saying no to a drink at the bar or stopping at 2 or 3 drinks instead of whatever, you know, driving because you're going to choose not to drink to save money, or like whatever, instead of Uber, like whatever it may be. Right. And so just finding ways that like make me feel better and like more calm in the chaos of life, and kind of just sharing that with everyone.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's so informative. I love the one on drinking. I think, yeah, it's normalizing that you could still have a good time and take care of yourself at the same time. And you don't need to, I think you said, like be blackout in the club.
In the club.
I think there's time for that when you're younger, but gosh, it hurts a lot more when you're older. And I think we start to prioritize different things. I think that's part of the point. And one of the things I've prioritized in my 30s, early 40s is my health and optimal health. So I love that series. Well, Lisa, if you could give any 30-something-year-olds listening some advice on how to maybe curate a similar mindset that you have, that you are still young, that life is about finding joy and finding balance, what advice would you give the people listening?
Yeah, I would say really sit and ask yourself, and even write it down if you have to, like what you like. Like, who are you? Are you like an animal lover? Do you love live music? Like, do you like the art scene? Do you, like spending time with friends and family? Do you like the winter sports, summer sport? Like, who are you? And I think that we're, curated in this blueprint of life that we've mentioned several times, talking that like, we kind of lose like a little piece of ourselves. And so I would just tell anyone listening, like, with no one around you, sit down and just write down or think about who you are. And I also have like a couple childhood photos in my apartment, and that really helps because I think it's just like fun to see the nostalgia of your younger self and like, who was that little girl that, even loved cats then and like still does now, and like rescued one in her 20s, and it's been the best thing ever. And so just like not feeling shame for who you are. And so I would just tell anyone also to start doing things alone, like start doing things alone to figure that out. That helps too.
Yes.
Going to classes alone, going to a coffee shop alone, that really starts to help you learn, like, how often do I grab my phone? Am I comfortable striking up a conversation with someone? Stuff like that, like, really gets you out of your comfort zone. And I would also tell anyone the only way is through, honestly. The only way is through. Like, sometimes I have bad days, and that's like life. Like, you just right through it, go right through it, I've learned how to like really cry a lot in my 20s and 30s.
I think it's important to express and feel our emotions and be really honest with ourselves with what's going on. And it really is the only way through, is to be honest. And, once we suppress them, all sorts of, we go down rabbit holes and we don't feel good about ourselves, and we're telling ourselves harmful narratives. So I love that. I think honesty, I am such a huge advocate for doing things alone, whether it's traveling alone, go and taking yourself to dinner. I used to do that all the time. I loved it. Sitting in a coffee shop by yourself, travel, like living by yourself while challenging and overwhelming is such a huge learning experience. So if you have the opportunity, I couldn't agree more with that piece of advice. If you have the opportunity to do some things alone, even if it's like one solo trip, even if it's a mini one, like do it. You'll just learn so much about yourself.
Yeah. You learn like your own behaviors. Like, how motivated are you to like get up at a certain time if you're on a trip somewhere and you want to like go to this hike? Are you going to actually get up at 5 a.m.? Like it's, you know what I mean? Like, you just learn, like, how often do you grab your phone or talking to strangers and stuff like that. And so, but also to like, don't judge yourself. Like, we're all just figuring it out. Like,
it's okay. Every day, not the end destination, just every day. Every day we're navigating. Yeah. Well, Lisa, thank you so much. Tell everybody where they can find your account. I love everything that you're putting on there. And I know you said the podcast is on pause for a while, but I'm sure people can go listen to previous episodes.
Yeah. Instagram is Thrive in Your 30s. And 30s is like the number 30. And I don't really post on TikTok that much, or I do a little bit, but it's Lisa M. Giordano with an underscore. And my podcast is Surthriving.
Amazing. As a therapist who works with a lot of moms and is a mom myself, I know how important it is to feel supported, especially in those early parenting seasons. That's why I love Mom Med. The products are all about caring for moms and empowering families from fertility to postpartum and beyond. It's practical, thoughtful care when you need it most. You can shop all their products at mommed.pxf.io/QTC. That's mommed.pxf.io/QTC, because moms deserve the best support. Hey guys, I'm Beth. Thank you so much for tuning in to Quiet the Clock. If you want to hear more episodes and learn more about how to dismantle societal timelines, live life on your own terms, live life fully and authentically, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and you can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Quiet the Clock Pod. You guys, I'm really excited. We just created all this amazing merch. And so if you're loving the podcast and you want to support our cause and continue to hear amazing episodes, please support us by buying some merch. I am living in these sweatshirts every day. We have a range of colors. We have hoodies, we have mugs, we have hats, we have journals. We have all of the things, and I love having them on because it's just a reminder to quiet the clock, to slow down, to like let life unfold and be happy. So there's meaning and purpose behind wearing it too, which is a nice reminder. So check out our website, quiettheclock.com, to get your merch.